As July continues, so does our journey into the captivating world of royal ruby tiaras and parures. This video is a continuation of our previous exploration. If you haven't yet seen the first installment, be sure to check it out after this one to discover even more of these luxurious jewels and the enthralling stories behind them. You probably know that the Oriental circlet, designed by Prince Albert, originally featured opals. But did you know he also created a ruby tiara for his beloved Queen Victoria? What became of this tiara over the years? And which splendid ruby parure was once worn by Empress Sisi of Austria? We'll also delve into the tale of Queen Sophia's versatile tiara, which she has never once loaned to her daughters or daughter-in-law, and uncover the grand ruby parure initially crafted for Napoleon's court. We'll discuss all this and much more in today's video. Prepare to be enchanted by the hidden histories and extraordinary journeys of these majestic pieces. Before we begin, please support my channel by clicking the like and subscribe buttons. Thank you. Queen Victoria's Strawberry Leaf Tiara. Queen Victoria's strawberry leaf tiara looks quite different today compared to when Prince Albert first designed it for her. Originally, the middle row of rectangular stones was actually at the bottom of the tiara, and it contained rubies, not diamonds. Each strawberry leaf and diamond point on top also had a ruby. In its original state, it appeared delicate and feminine, in line with Prince Albert's design ethos. After Albert's death in 1861, Queen Victoria wore only white jewelry. When she eventually reintroduced colored gemstones to her collection, the strawberry leaf tiara, with its rubies nestled among diamonds, was one of the first pieces she wore. She adorned this tiara and parts of its matching parure, earrings, necklace, and brooch, at the 1871 wedding of her daughter, Princess Louise, to the Marquis of Lorne. In 1885, Victoria gifted the ruby and diamond parure to her youngest daughter, Princess Beatrice, for her marriage to Prince Henry of Battenberg. Beatrice added an entire bottom row of diamond scrolls, making the tiara much more imposing. She had a jeweler enhance the piece by adding an extra row of diamond elements at its base, including strawberry leaf designs that mirrored the top. In the late 1920s, Princess Beatrice loaned Queen Victoria's strawberry leaf tiara to her daughter, by then Queen Victoria Eugenie of Spain. At some point in the 1930s, Princess Beatrice passed the tiara to her son and daughter-in-law, the Marquis and Marchioness of Carisbrooke, who had the piece altered by Cartier in 1933, when the rubies removed by Cartier. After the late 1930s, the tiara disappeared from public view, and its current whereabouts are unknown, but it was likely sold or broken up. The Niarchos Ruby Tiara. This piece of jewelry is known as the Niarchos Rubies, as it was one of the wedding gifts from the Greek shipping magnate Stavros Niarchos to the then Princess Sophia of Greece. The ruby and diamond clusters of the parure boast unparalleled versatility. They can be worn in various stunning configurations, ranging from 2 necklaces of different lengths to a tiara that can be arranged in either a single row or double row format. The coordinating earrings, equally exquisite, were a wedding gift from her mother, Queen Frederica of Greece. By the 1970s, Princess Sophia began adorning her head with one of the rows from the Niarchos Ruby Suite as a tiara. In 1975, Queen Sophia wore the Niarchos Ruby Suite for one of the most important days, King Juan Carlos's enthronement mass, which heralded the restoration of the Spanish monarchy. In the late 1970s, Queen Sophia made appearances wearing the Niarchos rubies with a 2-row tiara. In 2009, Queen Sophia once again wore the Niarchos Ruby Suite with a single-row tiara, which was its last public appearance for years. Notably, the Niarchos rubies are one of the few pieces of jewelry that Queen Sophia has never loaned to her daughters or her daughter-in-law, Queen Letizia. However, in 2023, Queen Sophia once again dazzled in the parure at a grand banquet celebrating the wedding of Crown Prince Al Hussein and Princess Rajwa. This was her first appearance in a tiara in almost a decade, and for the first time since the 1970s, she wore the 2-row necklace. Habsburg Ruby Parure. This stunning jewelry set was created by court jeweler Biedermann utilizing rubies that once belonged to Queen Marie Antoinette of France. These precious stones were passed down to her daughter, the Duchess of Angoulême, who received the jewels after her prolonged imprisonment as the only surviving member of her family. Emperor Francis II purchased the rubies, most of which were likely spinels, from Madame Royale, and from that point on, they became part of the imperial Habsburg family jewels. When Emperor Franz Joseph was preparing to wed Duchess Elizabeth in Bavaria in 1854, he commissioned court jeweler Biedermann to design a new parure, incorporating Queen Marie Antoinette's rubies as a wedding present for his bride. In 1864, Empress Elizabeth engaged the services of jeweler Alexander Topfert to modify the tiara, making it more versatile. This alteration allowed the individual components to be worn separately as brooches and pins, enabling the tiara to be worn in various small and large configurations, as well as solely as the looped scroll without the ruby and diamond flowers. Topfert further modified the tiara in 1879. After the Empress's tragic assassination in Switzerland, the Habsburg ruby parure remained in the imperial treasury, although her personal jewelry collection was sold at auction for charitable purposes. Following the collapse of the Austrian Empire in World War I, the Habsburg family jewels were transported to Switzerland. However, other pieces were sold directly by the imperial family to ensure their financial security. Regrettably, the current location of some components, such as the bandeau, is unknown. A replica of the Habsburg ruby parure is currently on display at the Sissi Museum in the Hofburg Palace in Vienna. The Bains de Mer Tiara. Red and white are the colors of the Principality of Monaco, so it's no surprise that one of its most famous residents, Princess Grace, had an extensive collection of jewels adorned with rubies and diamonds. This tiara was a wedding gift she received from the Société des Bains de Mer, a company founded by Prince Charles III of Monaco in 1863 that manages the luxury hotels and casinos contributing to the principality's wealth. Cartier created an exquisitely versatile piece featuring 3 central elements that could be detached and worn as brooches. These elements consisted of round, brilliant, and baguette-cut diamonds with cabochon rubies. Set in gold and platinum, the impressive rubies total 49 carats. Grace reciprocated the honor by wearing the tiara at her pre-wedding gala, and for her first official portrait as Her Serene Highness Princess Grace of Monaco. Princess Grace frequently donned the tiara during her early years at state events. To complete the parure, Prince Rainier later gifted her a pair of ruby and diamond drop earrings and a ruby and diamond ring. Grace wore these jewels to numerous events throughout her life, sometimes using the brooches as a necklace or as bejeweled hairpins. After Princess Grace's death, the Bains de Mer Tiara became part of the Palais Princier collection and has been exhibited worldwide. Elements of the parure, like the earrings and brooches, have been worn by both her daughters, Princess Caroline and Princess Stephanie, though the tiara itself has not been worn since Princess Grace's passing. In the 2014 film Grace of Monaco, starring Nicole Kidman, quite accurate replicas of Grace's jewelry were featured. These replicas were made by Cartier. By the way, would you be interested in a video dedicated to reviewing Princess Grace's ruby jewelry? Jusupov Ruby Parure. The Jusupov ruby tiara is a stunning piece of jewelry that was gifted to Princess Irina as a wedding present. Despite Prince Felix being one of the noblest members of Russian high society, his marriage to Princess Irina, of imperial blood, was deemed morganatic. In accordance with the rules of the Russian imperial house, Irina signed an act renouncing claims to the throne, but received truly royal gifts from her husband, including 5 different tiaras. This ruby tiara, along with other wedding gifts from Prince Felix, was crafted by Chaumet using jewels from the Jusupov collection, which the prince personally took to the Parisian jeweler. In Chaumet's original design, this tiara featured pearls, but Prince Felix, known for his excellent taste and direct involvement in creating jewelry for Princess Irina, opted for rubies, which could easily be swapped for emeralds. The design was further enhanced with a base featuring alternating large diamonds and rubies. This new addition was removable, allowing the princess to wear it as a bandeau, making the top part of the tiara versatile for 1920s fashion, when tiaras were often worn low on the forehead. However, fate intervened. Following the Russian Revolution, the Jusupov jewels were hidden by Prince Felix until better times within a wall of their Moscow mansion. They remained safely concealed there until 1925, when museum workers accidentally discovered them. Unfortunately, the better times for this tiara never came. In a photograph showing Soviet workers examining and dismantling the treasures, the ruby tiara can be seen on the left side of the table. Duchess of Angoulême's ruby Parure tiara. At his marriage to Archduchess Marie-Louise of Austria, Emperor Napoleon I commissioned a parure of rubies and diamonds. This was an extensive parure, including the items typically found in such sets: a tiara, necklace, earrings, and bracelets. In total, the set used approximately 400 rubies and more than 6,000 diamonds. When Louis XVIII's wife, Queen Marie Josephine, died in 1810, all the status and duties of First Lady were entrusted to his niece, Marie-Thérèse. Marie-Thérèse, the eldest and only surviving daughter of Marie Antoinette and Louis XVI, exclusively enjoyed the pleasure of the crown jewel collection. She wore the Nino ruby and diamond parure in its original form before having it remodeled in 1816. In the photograph, you can see an exact replica of the original made by Chaumet with garnets and white sapphires. In 1816, the ruby parure was redesigned for the Duchess of Angoulême by Pierre-Nicolas Menière. The design was developed by Menière's son-in-law, Everard Bapst, and retained some features of the original Nito parure. After Marie-Thérèse, the ruby parure was worn by Queen Marie-Amélie and Empress Eugénie. Various items belonging to the ruby parure were scattered in different directions after the 1887 sale, with some pieces occasionally resurfacing in subsequent sales. Part of the jewelry was purchased by the Louvre and has been on display there since 1973, while the remaining rubies, including the tiara, are in private collections. It is said that the tiara is part of the Niarchos collection. It would indeed be spectacular to see them all together again, but at the moment this seems impossible. The ruby peacock tiara. The parure was created in 1897 for Queen Wilhelmina, a year before her inauguration. Rubies from Queen Sophie's inheritance were used for the set. The Frankfurt jeweler E. Sherman was commissioned to craft it. The central peacock element is detachable and can be worn separately. The necklace offers versatility, capable of being worn tightly or loosely around the neck and in different configurations, thanks to a system of hooks and screws that make the royal jewels detachable. Queen Wilhelmina notably wore the ruby peacock tiara for a series of portraits in the early 1900s and at an event in the 1930s. Since she regarded the parure as private property, she could manage it as she pleased. This became evident on January 31st, 1959, the 21st birthday of Princess Beatrix, when Princess Irene, not the birthday girl, received the peacock tail parure from her grandmother. Princess Irene wore the tiara throughout the 1970s and the early years of her marriage. However, following her 1981 divorce from Prince Carlos Hugo of Bourbon-Parma, she ceased wearing the peacock tiara. The tiara disappeared from public view for a long time, leading many to believe that Princess Irene had sold it at some point. This speculation was dispelled when then Princess Maxima wore the tiara in 2009. It is possible that the ruby peacock parure was returned to the foundation, as both Queen Beatrix and Queen Maxima have worn it on several state occasions since then. The ruby olive wreath tiara. This dazzling tiara of diamonds and rubies, shaped like a wreath, traces its origin back to Queen Olga of Greece. The set also includes a matching necklace and 2 brooches. There is a romantic legend that Olga's husband, King George I of Greece, gave her one rare pigeon blood red ruby every year on their wedding anniversary. Eventually, he commissioned a magnificent set of gemstones for the setting, choosing the powerful symbol of ancient Greece, the laurel wreath, Upon Olga's death in 1926, the tiara was passed down to their son, Prince Nicholas. His wife Elena notably wore the set for a portrait. Prince Nicholas and Elena often lent the tiara to their daughters, Princess Olga of Yugoslavia and Princess Marina, Duchess of Kent. The ruby parure was particularly cherished by their eldest daughter, Princess Olga of Yugoslavia, who inherited it after her father's death. During the war, both Paul and Olga were exiled and eventually compelled to sell the rubies. At that moment, the trail of the tiara could have been lost forever. Fortunately, the buyer was Olga's cousin, King Paul of Greece, who acquired the tiara for his wife, Queen Frederica. In the future, Queen Frederica would pass this magnificent parure to her daughter-in-law Anne-Marie, the new Queen of Greece. In 1967, a military coup abruptly ended the Greek monarchy, and the Greek royal family was forced into exile once again. However, Anne-Marie managed to safely take her jewels with her and preserve them. Queen Anne-Marie still wears the tiara and the rest of the ruby parure in public, along with many other pieces from the Greek royal collection. What truly amazes in the history of this tiara is its resilience, having endured political upheavals and, despite the vicissitudes of fate, managed to remain within the family. The Danish ruby parure tiara. The tiara's origins trace back to the court of Napoleon Bonaparte, where it looked markedly different from its current form. In anticipation of the emperor's grand coronation, Bonaparte provided funds to many of his marshals to procure or create suitably grand jewels for their wives. One such marshal, Jean-Baptiste Bernadotte, acquired the ruby and diamond wreath tiara and its accompanying parure for his wife, Désirée Clary. Jean-Baptiste Bernadotte and Désirée Clary eventually became King Carl XIV Johan and Queen Desideria of Sweden, thus bringing the jewels to the Swedish royal court. The tiara transitioned to Denmark through Swedish Princess Louise, who married the future Danish King Frederick VIII in 1869. Princess Louise's grandmother, Queen Josephine of Sweden, Désirée's daughter-in-law, gifted the tiara as a wedding present. Recognizing that the rubies and diamonds mirrored the colors of the Danish flag, Queen Josephine deemed the parure the ideal gift for the new Danish crown princess. The tiara continued its royal journey, passing from Queen Louise to her daughter-in-law Alexandrine, and then to Princess Ingrid of Sweden upon her marriage to Crown Prince Frederick of Denmark in 1935. The tiara has since undergone two transformations. The original design was very much like a wreath, as seen in photos of Queen Alexandrine. In 1947, Queen Ingrid incorporated two of the original parure's brooches to transform the wreath-like tiara into a more traditional diadem. When Queen Ingrid passed away in 2000, she bequeathed the parure to her grandson, Crown Prince Frederick, who gave it to his wife, Crown Princess Mary, in 2004. In 2010, like Ingrid before her, Mary had the tiara slightly modified, reshaping it into a more compact form and placing it on a new frame. And with that, our journey comes to an end. Please tell me in the comments which ruby tiara or parure you like the most. You can also check the video description, where I've added links to other videos that you might find interesting. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please support my channel by subscribing, liking, or sharing. Thank you.